Hey everybody, welcome to an all-new episode of Spilling the IT. I'm Paul Burke, and I have with me Adam Burke, and today we're talking about data centers. Ooh, boy, I came in real strong on that intro.
Good afternoon, everybody. Hope you're having a good day. Paul's got the background music cranking today to help welcome everyone into the Friday afternoon conversation around data centers. So
It's a casual ambiance Friday afternoon.
Yep.
It's a casual Friday afternoon with nice ambiance, is what I meant to say.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
It was very
I have
welcoming.
a giant head compared to yours right now.
I can move. I can.
There we go.
Okay. All right. Good.
Now we're both equal-sized heads, ready to talk data centers.
Ready to go.
Adam, impress everybody. I'm curious. I don't know the answer. So
No, I did not.
How many miles did you run this week?
This week? No, I'm taking it easy this week. I'm recovering from last week. Just mellow, hitting the bike, just kind of taking it easy, man. Taking it easy.
Well. Looks like this week I'm the one who's achieved a lot because I've walked 10 miles.
Nice.
Yeah,
nice.
So don't mean to brag. Data centers. Let's get into it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Last week we were talking, and my first question was just bonkers broad and ridiculous. So I was going to go with something a little easier today, a little more manageable to answer. Let's start at the beginning. So what is a data center? So if somebody they've heard the term, what is it?
So, at a high level, data centers are really just an area where corporations, organizations, businesses, gaming, basically anyone that's storing data and providing applications, it's just a central repository for all that computer hardware, software to operate. So it's a controlled environment. Often it's, climate controlled environment, different layers of security, different things going into it, but it's really just a giant area where people have farms of computers that, operate different services around the world. There's regional data centers all over the place. People need to host services. You hear things like cloud computing and hosting and all things like that. It's really just computers, in a stack of in a row of racks, and it has basically power, space, and connectivity to the internet. As long as you have
get a visual element, Adam. I don't know if you can see right now, but I brought up our website.
Oh, nice.
So as you can see, Adam is doing high level work in a data center on a desktop or on a laptop. So that's usually, it's racks, and people are just, so anyways,
so there's private data centers, right? So some companies have their own, right? Some organizations will run and manage their own data centers. So think like, Facebook's, Microsoft's, organizations that run their own dedicated facilities.
Okay.
And then there's data centers that multiple companies will subscribe and purchase real estate within that environment. My first role at Quest was actually learning about data centers and understanding different places where we could host services around the country. It's interesting. Every region kind of has a little bit of a different flavor to it. There are national providers and international providers, but when you're looking at data centers, it's really real estate. It's real estate, and I was thinking about this because I knew our topic was going to be data centers today. It's kind of, what kind of neighborhood do you want to live in? And where do you want your applications to live from a data center standpoint? Where do you want that stuff to reside? It was fun for the first 2 years. I got to tour, a couple hundred data centers around the country. Everything from, super mega facilities like everyone knows, the big facility down in Las Vegas that has, the guys with the armored trucks and the Humvees and the ammo and stuff like that, to a small mom and pop kind of facility. I think it was a repurposed gas station with a black wall painted. It was just black paint on the old, gas station front glass. And hey, they were providing services for that region, and people subscribe to putting their stuff there. So it's
So
there's all sorts of
that-
data centers around the country.
So that the huge difference there kind of brings me to a question that I think it's kind of a perfect time to ask it. Do all data centers offer the same level of security? So you just mentioned repurposed gas station. Did it offer the same level of security as the one in Las Vegas?
No, so there's all different levels of security at the data center. So when you're talking about security, there's a couple different things people always think of. When you go in to tour it, you get a chance to see the physical security. So access control is a big thing when you're thinking about, hey, I have my servers, I have my applications, I have my customer data in a facility. How can people get into it, right? So we've all seen, Mission Impossible, where they're crawling through the lasers and all that kind of good stuff. But really, you have some things a lot of people have in place are things like dual factor authentication, right? So you have your handprint, maybe your eye scan or something like that with a badge, right? So you have a badge plus some other type of authentication to get through a certain door.
Mm-hmm.
People track you as you're moving in and out of the facility. Different facilities have different capabilities. So some facilities have private cages, right? So we operate a couple data centers of our own. And in our data centers, you have like a private cage environment. So you're access controlled all the way in through the different doors and everything like that. It's a 24/7 facility. A lot of them are 24/7. But then you can have like private cages and video surveillance and all that good stuff. It's multiple layers. It's all around access control and who's coming in, who's leaving the facility.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So when I was doing research and getting questions, I kept coming across a term I was hoping we could talk about. What does data center carrier neutral mean?
So great question. Carrier neutral is more along the lines of, when you say carriers, there's Verizon, AT&T, CenturyLink. There's tons of different carrier providers, and sometimes what they'll do is they'll provide a data center for their clients, but the only bandwidth that's coming in and out of that data center, the only access to the world from a transport standpoint for your data or your voice traffic, mm-hmm. is their services. So you hate to throw around the term monopoly in the carrier world because that didn't work out too well for Bell. Well, it still works out pretty well, but they basically say, hey, you can come and use our facility, but you're only going to buy our transport. Okay. Most of the data centers, well, thousands of data centers now are what are called carrier neutral facilities. So customers have the ability to lease power and space, and then they run a cross connect from their cabinet or their cage to what's called the MPO or meet me room, and that's where the carriers come in. That's where they hand off connectivity to the outside world. And a carrier neutral facility means that, hey, if you can get glass into the building, you can sell to the customers that are there and provide them with bandwidth services, internet services. So,
okay.
Yeah.
And how important is like temperature? So I know there were questions I kept coming. I kept finding, and people were like very focused on temperature. So how does it play such an important role in data centers?
Well, the old way of thinking was, hey, you go into a data center and you're freezing, right? You go into a data center and you got the air conditioning cranked up and the AC
it's
unit.
Heaven. I love it.
Oh yeah, you would love some data centers. I mean, they just crank up the AC and keep it cool in there. So
it's like when you're shopping, when you're shopping, going to Safeway, and you open up the freezer, and you're like, I just kind of want to hang out here for a second because it's nice to. I'll get the ice cream eventually, but right now it's just very pleasant feeling all this cold. Like
eventually they ask you to close the door.
Oh sure, they'll eventually ask me to leave. That's a given. There's very few grocery stores I can go to anymore.
Yeah, that could be awkward. But yeah, no. So temperature controlled is certainly part of it because you got a lot of machines in there pulling a lot of electricity, mm-hmm. and they're cranking out a ton of heat. So you'll hear words like hot aisle, cold aisle containment, all that type of stuff. It's basically just controlling airflow.
Okay.
And what you want to do is understand how efficient that data center is actually operating to control that airflow. And there are ways to do it. There's a lot of different theories out there. You can go to different data center websites and they'll talk about how their efficiency ratings are better than others and that type of thing. But the cooling, if you go into data centers now, there are a lot of different opinions about what temperature you actually have to keep it at in order for it to be operational.
Okay.
So in a lot of equipment, there are certain thresholds that if it detects that it's at a certain temperature, it'll start throwing off a lot of alerts, right? So as you're monitoring your equipment, people who monitor their equipment in these sites, they always want to know, hey, are my servers cooking? Because there are situations where people have private environments where they lose airflow to a server room, for example, and it'll destroy their hardware. It'll catch on fire or it'll just melt.
Wow.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks. So would any of this tied into like a data center load test?
So load testing is really this understanding. So one of the ways you have redundancy in a data center, one of the ways a data center can be protected is you have redundant power and you have generators, right? So you want to load test the ability for your data center to operate independently of utility providers. Mm-hmm. Some people build in their own substations. Some people, build in redundant gen sets, things like that. It's really your disaster recovery business continuity plan for the facility itself. So Quest, we built out 2 of our own sites, and we've built out data centers for some of our customers too. But we've gone with the distributed redundant path for data and for power. And what we did there was we basically have 2 separate substations feeding the facilities. And then from a recovery standpoint, we load test our generators and every week, and every month we do a full load test of the facility on generators. So you basically are evaluating, hey, in the event the worst thing happens and we lose both utility feeds from separate substations, can this facility stay operational? And you have thousands of gallons of diesel fuel. You have situations where like we refuel our generators live, and you just basically make sure that under no circumstances
we refill them live. What is
yeah, it means you can refill them while they're operational. So while they're cooking, you can refill them. Nice. Yeah, because if you lose power, and that generator kicks on, basically what happens is you have your very large battery systems that carry the load for about a moment or two while the generators fire on, and then that automatically transfers over to the generator. So it's a pretty cool system. One of my favorite things to do. Like I said, I got to go tour a bunch of data centers, but if people ever go to our site, they'll see me kind of being a geek walking through the data center and kind of showing different things that we do. That's one of my favorite things for when clients come on site and meet with us. Is to walk through and show them kind of the capabilities of the facility. It's pretty cool to see. You got redundant generators, you got redundant power, redundant paths in for internet. It's really cool to see that infrastructure stuff is neat to see firsthand. I definitely appreciate it.
And it's all very close together too, which I think is a benefit too, that everything is very accessible.
Yeah. I mean, when you're walking people through an organization,
it's not like Jurassic Park. When they needed generators, clear on the other side of the building, Adam. You're going to run into raptor issues.
That didn't work out well for Newman. Yeah.
Did not. Well, he wasn't going after the generators, Adam. He was stealing a sample to give to a rival company.
That's right. Yeah. Okay.
Now,
okay. Yeah.
Samuel L. Jackson, did he go for the generators? No. He was staying there waiting. And then he said the classic line, hold on to your butts. And then tried it. And it worked. Yep. Classic. That was actually the first PG-13 movie I ever saw. Was it? Yep. That was a big deal. Probably for me too. That was a big deal. Good movie. Yep. That was a big deal. Maybe I'll watch that tonight. Anyways,
Okay.
back
Yeah,
to
focus.
question. I think it's important that I have so many questions and I'm skipping over some, but I think these are and I think some of the biggest broad ones are important for us to tackle. So even though it might sound silly. So one thing I've realized is even though it might sound silly to us, I think it's really relevant to a lot of people.
Yeah, what's up?
So who should be using a data center? Because we're given a lot of information about like the benefits, but who should be using a data center?
Yeah, I mean, so that's a great question. So, organizations that if you need your applications to be, readily available, and you need to make sure that you have, redundant power, redundant connectivity, you need to have your systems be accessible and operational. But maybe you're not quite at the, hey, I want to move all my stuff to a cloud service provider yet. You still have your own servers, you have your own hardware, you want to basically put it somewhere that's stable and secure. Definitely look at, look at colo as a provider. You can be a co-location client, right? And look at data centers. That it really helps people take advantage of what others have invested in, right? It's a consumable piece of real estate, really. You're renting a house in someone else's environment that they've already built for you. You don't have to build it from the ground up. You don't have to invest in the generators and the redundant power. One of our clients, looked at we have a business resumption center that they were evaluating. Hey, we have to support a call center 24/7 that handles emergency dispatch services, life and safety coordination for evacuations and things like that. And they were evaluating, hey, do we build this on our own? How do we do this? And they kind of did the whole cost, assessment as far as what it would take from a generator standpoint, from a facility standpoint, from a redundancy connectivity standpoint. And they were like, shoot, they came to us and said, hey, Quest, can we leverage a piece of your facility to do that? So we built out a portion of our business resumption center specifically for that. It's a 24/7 operation for them. They had up to at one point about 60 people on site 24/7 in that area of our environment. So, that when you think about data centers or co-location, you can certainly go to the, giant server farm type, environments. Where we've kind of differentiated ourselves, at least locally in the Northern California market, is helping people out of the Bay Area and some other areas build, resumption suites and recovery operations where there's actually a place for your people too. So your phone systems, your people, in the event of a disaster, you can recover there. So, and then we've actually done that across the country too in a few dedicated instances as well.
Okay,
which is cool.
So we do have clients nationally.
Yeah, absolutely. So we, with brick and mortar, we build and operate and own our own facilities in Northern California, and then we have great partners all over the country where we basically treat them as real estate partners, right? They provide great power, space, and availability where we put our systems. That's where we're in about 26 right now.
Okay.
So, yeah. Yep.
Oh, and before I forget, if you have questions, feel free to add them. You can put them in the comments right now. I know you can watch this show on Facebook and YouTube. So if you have questions, feel free to add them to the comment section on Facebook or the chat section in YouTube, and we can make sure to ask Adam those. So if you're wondering about anything, go ahead and post something, and we'll be sure to get those answered by Adam. So he's a wise man. He's here. Take advantage.
Never been called wise before. That's good. All right, I'll take it.
Yeah, no, it feels good, doesn't it?
No.
I mean, it doesn't feel good?
No, it feels good. It feels good.
Oh, in theory, I think it feels good. Nobody's ever called me wise before, but I'm gonna,
go with it.
Yeah. So is this relevant, or are most facilities now 24/7, 365 remote hand support?
It just depends on the facility. Some
Okay.
of them are considered. There are some sites out there that don't have people available at them. They'd be dark. But a lot of data centers do have some level of 24/7 support, at least for remote hands. And that a lot of people do need that. Even if you do have your systems remote, there can always be some type of a need to have someone go and do a physical reboot of a device, or check connectivity or anything like that. So things do go wrong in all sorts of environments. So yeah, having that on-site 24/7 support is a big deal.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know this is something that's very unique to Quest, and it kind of sets us apart. So how are data centers protected against natural disasters? So I know some of our sites are unique that way.
Yeah. So every natural disaster depends on what region you're in, right? So at least in the regions where we are in Northern California, the biggest threat is flood, right? So that's the biggest threat in the region that we're in. We actually got in the data center business because a customer of ours was trying to do something in an environment that all of a sudden got reclassified as one of the worst floodplains in the United States after Hurricane Katrina. So they came to us and said, "Hey, can you help us with this data center?" And we'd been doing it for a long time, and they've been a long-term client of ours. So we built out a data center for them. We had our eyes on a space that worked for that, and we basically helped move them outside of the floodplain. And then that's actually where we started building our data center practice. That was about 17 years ago, when that first kind of came up as a service offering that we had. And then after Hurricane Katrina.
The McClellan site?
Yeah. So our McClellan Business Resumption Center is it's built at a repurposed Air Force facility. Mm-hmm. It was actually one of the largest business parks in the United States. It was an old Air Force facility that got repurposed into a business park. So awesome infrastructure, amazing power available. When we built it out, it was previously a General Dynamics flight simulation facility, and kind of cool. When we first started building it, I remember I'd go and check on it. You couldn't get a cell phone reception there because the concrete walls were so thick that it could withstand some level of a blast within 2 miles from a nuke standpoint.
Yeah.
So
and it's eerily quiet. Like that's the other thing too. You walk in there, you're like, oh, there's no sounds.
Yeah.
There's no outside world. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a cool facility. And that was we had been doing data center services and working out of another facility in the region for a while, and we decided to Tim decided to invest in that, and we had a client that trusted us to do that for him, and it's been growing since then. That's a 80,000 foot facility with great power, and then our Roseville facility is about 120,000 square feet. Similar situation, great facility, amazing power available to it, and we built it out the same. It's data center as well as recovery and high availability operations for groups that can't afford to go down. So it's they're both great sites, and then we use facilities all over the country to deliver services in different regions.
So between Sacramento and Roseville, we have 200,000 square feet just between those two sites.
Yeah, 200,000 square feet of data center space. Lot of good room for growth there, and a lot of our clients, we support a lot of the Bay Area. They're kind of in an earthquake zone. They got some trouble there, so a lot of them use us for backup and DR purposes, and then also a lot of them, bandwidth is so available now. A lot of them use us for primary. I mean, we're a couple milliseconds away from San Jose, a couple milliseconds away from San Francisco and from the Bay. And then cool stories on our strategic advisor, we actually put together an overview of a regional bank that during the fires had to had to grab certain components, parts and pieces, and come up here and operate out of the Roseville facility for a couple of weeks while those fires were going on. Their people were in jeopardy, couldn't get to work. So we were able to help them in that way. So
also, I should mention, we now pipe music into the McClellan site, so you won't go mad if it's so quiet. It's not that quiet anymore.
We got Muzak?
I think we have music in there.
Is it Muzak or is it music?
It's probably Muzak.
Okay.
I don't know, but I know there's sounds.
Good.
So yeah, so it sounds, you won't lose your mind like in some quiet facility. So
well, one cool thing that I like about some of the data centers, and we did this in the Roseville site, was we did when we built it out 2016. We used power over PoE lighting, right? So all PoE, so no copper in the ceilings, anything like that.
Okay.
Used all power over Ethernet lighting, and it's all motion sensor and motion detection. So when you walk in, when we first had it turned up, we did like there just were like one row of lights would turn on and kind of track you around. But that's kind of creepy because you walk into a giant dark data center and you're walking around motion sensor lights. So we started doing it. Yeah. So we changed that. We did it like, hey, it turns on chunks at a time. But that's
cool. So
but that's
music and you don't feel like you're hunted. It's pretty awesome facility.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Adam, so I know we're coming up here on a half an hour. Was there anything else about data centers that you kind of like to dive into, or?
No, I think they're definitely the right fit for organizations that need to be up and operational all the time. They're great environments to come, check out. That's definitely for any client, that's looking, to evaluate a data center. We've definitely evaluated a lot of them, and we own and operate 2 of them. So if you ever have a question about it, feel free to reach out. And we got a lot of great partners in the space that can help there. And then, from a selfish standpoint, from a Quest standpoint, again, I love touring our facility. It really kind of showcases everything that we do. And it's always fun to kind of show, what you're capable of if people are interested in talking about it. So.
And you're not saying that you actually really love giving tours. I
do. I like putting on the fancy shoes and going and meeting and greeting and taking people walking through. And especially now, since it's been about, today's the 14th and it's the 8th month of the year. And we locked down on the 3rd or the 14th of basically March. So it's been about 5 months since I've been and done a tour or anything like that. And so, yeah, anyone... At some point,
you need it for yourself.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, no. But yeah, no, it's good to meet and show people around for sure. Mm-hmm. So,
shiny shoes, you wear suspenders. It's the whole.
No suspenders. Never pulled that off. Never pulled that off.
Hard look to pull off.
No.
It's a hard look.
Yeah.
So that brings us to Adam. Very popular section. What TV shows this week, Adam? What TV shows have you been watching?
Dude, finished up Umbrella Academy season 2.
Worth it? I haven't even started yet. Is it worth it?
So I was kind of annoyed, like for the first couple, I'm like, it's kind of cool. But then like the last 2, oh man.
Really?
Dude. Okay. Yeah. It's good. Right. Yep. Check it out for sure. Yep.
I like that we can speak in a shorthand where you're like, dude, and I'm like, I get it. I know exactly what you're saying. Dude, okay. I'm there.
Very, I'm a man of multiple talents and a lot of words there.
Nice. Have you read any books or anything going on?
Nothing right now. I gotta find a new one. I gotta get something else going on there.
There's a really good book that I'm reading right now. It's called The Power of Moments.
Okay.
It's really great on why our brain records certain memories and ignores other memories, and how you, as a business, one, it's just nice to know how your brain works. So that benefit number 1. Benefit number 2, as a business, how you can help create more meaningful moments for clients or employees. So, like this, Adam, I'm pretty sure in both our lives, meaningful moment.
Yeah.
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 Talking
Does
data
it
centers.
have to do with does it have to do with like dopamine or anything like that? Like a positive reaction that kind of helps burn it into the memory or anything like that?
It
Or
it
what is it?
it does. I mean, it talks about dopamine for sure, but it also talks about how we're biased to remember the beginning of events and end of events. So if you can make the end of an event better, it's actually much better than being strong like in the middle or anything. So you tend to like notice the peak of an event.
Okay.
So yeah, it's interesting. It's a fun read. It's really like as you're reading it, you constantly go, oh, yeah, that makes sense. So it's one of those where it's like everything kind of hits you, and you can very quickly apply it into your own life. So
Cool. I mean,
Yeah.
I'll check that out.
yeah,
I'll check that
Power
one
Roads,
out.
It's a good read.
Cool. Nice.
Yeah. So, but let's see. Haven't really watched. I'm still working through season 4 of The Good Place, and still watching Hyperdrive, which really
Okay.
makes me want to get into drifting, but I don't think I'd do well with it.
Okay.
I can live and watch it. So,
Nice.
anyways,
Nice.
yeah. Oh, let me add our fancy little ticker here at the bottom. Hi, everybody. If you're interested in data center information, please contact us at questsys.com, or you can always reach us at 800-326.
Wait for it to come around. Wait for it. Wait for it.
800-326-4220, and we're happy to talk to you.
This is one of those end on a high note things. This is one of
Oh
those.
yeah, this is a high note for sure. Me talking about a website and a phone number. I got multiple graphics up here. I got a background. I got
Yeah.
2 cameras. This is great.
Yeah. It's good.
This is good.
It's good. I like
I'm trying to
it.
think. What should we end on a high note?
No, I'm good. I think this has been good. I think we're, I think we got a. I like the review. I like the background too. I like the new background you got going on there.
Yeah, pretty nice. It's a data center.
It is.
So,
I saw that.
See how that works with
Yeah.
the topic?
Yeah. Yeah.
Next week, whatever we're talking about, I'll find a background for that.
Cool.
Yeah,
I like that.
lots of skills. Oh, here's the thing. Adam, favorite word. If you had to pick your favorite word, I would go with flummoxed. I think that's a very fun word. It's got a fun sound to it. I know
Flummoxed?
there's a lot of words out there, so I'm really putting you on the spot. So, what's one of your top 10 words?
Top 10 words. See, this is when you do that improv stuff that
Yeah.
that you're good at that I tank at.
Well,
I tank
Adam,
it.
I thought I stalled long enough by saying flummoxed, and then it's saying it's a great word, but
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
need some more time. Maybe next week. Tune in next week and find out Adam's favorite word, in addition to something that's tech related and helpful.
I could tell you my most used word, but it probably wouldn't be
Well,
appropriate.
we're gonna get banned from Facebook and YouTube.
Yeah, you can use it as a noun, you can use it as a verb, you can use it as an adjective. It's great.
Well, put it in the books. Another brilliant episode of Spilling the IT. Any final notes, Adam?
No, I hope everyone has a good weekend, and it was another good week, and thanks for putting this together, Paul. We'll get it going again.
Yeah, good times. Yeah, have a great week, everybody. We'll see you next Friday. Bye.
Thank you.